Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. We've got a seriously fascinating topic lined up for you. We're going to map out the incredible journey of electric trucks from being, those pristine novelties parked in suburban driveways to becoming absolute beasts conquering the extreme off-grid wilderness. It's a massive technological and cultural leap, and we're going to break it down in a really simple, engaging way today. Here's a quick look at where we're headed. First, the EV truck supremacy. Then, why differentials will die. We'll look at powering the campsite, winning over traditionalists, and finally, the ultimate off-grid future. Let's get going.
All right, part 1, the EV truck supremacy.
You see, the modern electric truck isn't just some generic vehicle anymore. We're looking at highly specialized tools engineered from the ground up for very specific purposes. Let's break down 3 absolute titans that brilliantly illustrate this. First up, you've got the Ford F-150 Lightning. This is essentially your ultimate daily driver and workhorse, super smooth ride, and a massive 9.6 kilowatts of onboard power. Then, sitting right in the middle, the Rivian R1T. This is the serious trailblazer, built for precision, literally capable of wading through 36 inches of water, no joke. And then there's the GMC Hummer EV. This is your high-visibility showpiece. It's loud, it's bold, packs a 330 to 350-mile range, and rocks features like Super Cruise for just effortless highway cruising.
But all this specialization, it creates a really fascinating engineering challenge. It leads to what we call the weight versus utility paradox. Think about these payload capacities for a second. The Hummer EV is by far the most powerful truck on this list, but it actually comes in dead last for payload at just 1,300 pounds. Meanwhile, the F-15 Lightning handles an impressive 2,235 pounds. So power definitely doesn't always equal practicality.
And the reason for that paradox really boils down to 2 huge numbers. Look, 1,000 horsepower is absolutely mind-blowing, right? But the Hummer EV is dragging around over 9,000 pounds of curb weight. That is a massive engineering trade-off. Sure, all that weight is kind of masked by immense power in a straight line, but it severely limits the truck's agility on tight off-road trails, and it eats right into what you can actually carry and tow.
Moving on to part 2, why differentials will die.
I am absolutely pumped about this part, because the underlying mechanics are practically rendering traditional off-roading totally obsolete. So, let me ask you, why exactly are EVs mechanically better off-road? Well, think about a traditional gas-powered rig. It uses complex mechanical differentials to distribute power. The big flaw there? Differentials naturally want to send torque to the wheel that's easiest to turn. So if you've got one wheel up in the air or slipping in deep mud, the differential dumps all the power right there, which is literally the worst thing you want in a low-traction situation. It just causes wheels to spin uselessly, dragging and scuffing your tires all over the trail. Let's contrast the old with the new. Traditional ICE vehicles use what we'd call combined wheel drive. To fix that differential issue we just talked about, they rely on complicated differential lockers or brake traction control, basically mechanical band-aids. But EVs, they introduce individual wheel drive. Instead of fighting a mechanical differential, an EV can apply pure, instantaneous, infinite torque control directly to each wheel independently. No scuffing, no spinning, no wasted energy. Grasping what individual wheel drive really means is absolutely crucial here. Take the Rivian R1T with its quad-motor setup, for example. It's exactly like a skilled rock climber. A climber uses all 4 limbs independently, right? They perfectly calculate the exact grip and pull needed for each individual hand and foot. They don't just drag a useless flailing limb behind them. IWD gives an electric truck that exact same granular, limb-by-limb control over the terrain.
All right, part 3, powering the campsite. Now, what's really interesting about this is how all this engineering completely changes the recreational lifestyle. Just consider how massive these EV batteries actually are. I mean, traditional campers spend thousands of dollars installing secondary 12-volt auxiliary batteries just to keep a tiny fridge running overnight. But an EV, it's literally a 130 kilowatt-hour battery on wheels. It entirely eliminates the need for secondary camp batteries. With vehicle-to-load tech, you can run a full electric induction cooktop safely, even during total fire bans, without listening to some obnoxious, noisy generator. If you've got a Ford Lightning, you can literally power an entire 9.6 kilowatt construction site right out of the truck bed. It's crazy.
And it goes way beyond just cooking. It solves a huge, sometimes fatal problem with traditional camping. Idling a gas engine for hours just to run the AC is noisy, it's awful for the environment, and it's super dangerous because of exhaust fumes. But in an EV, you can run the climate control all night in near-perfect silence with 0 emissions. You stay comfortable, you stay safe, and you don't scare off every animal within a 5-mile radius.
Let's move to part 4, winning over traditionalists.
Now you might be wondering, how are the die-hard old-school 4WD enthusiasts reacting to all this digital battery-powered tech? Well, I absolutely love this quote. That's awesome! That is a real reaction from a traditional 4WD guy named Paulie. Just a few years ago, Paulie was the kind of guy who swore he would never buy an EV until it could do 1,000 kilometers on a battery the size of a shoebox. But all it took was one quick test drive in an electric ute. Feeling that instant torque, that ridiculously smooth power delivery, his entire tune changed to genuine excitement. Once you actually feel it, the tech just speaks for itself.
But it's not just the driving dynamics winning these guys over, it's the sheer economics. Think about it. Imagine a traditional driver dropping $500 to fill up a massive 200-liter diesel tank. Ouch. Now, compare that to an EV owner who's got a home solar and battery setup. Enthusiasts are waking up to the reality that they can essentially fuel their massive weekend off-road rigs using the sun that hit their roof on a random Tuesday afternoon. That kind of economic reality is making traditionalists completely rethink their loyalties.
Which brings us to part 5, the ultimate off-grid future.
This right here is really the climax of our explainer today. True zero-emission remote travel. Let's think about this number. 45 square meters. That's roughly the size of a standard 22% efficiency solar array you'd need to generate a solid 7-kilowatt charge out in the wild. Imagine having a pull-out solar canopy or maybe a specialized solar trailer of that size. It literally means decoupling entirely from global fuel markets. You could travel across remote deserts indefinitely, just recharging your rig directly from the sun. How cool is that?
Let's break down how this builds into a really practical setup you could actually use today. Step 1. Your EV is basically the mothership. Step 2. You bring along a smaller 2 to 3 kilowatt-hour portable power station, something from EcoFlow or Anchor, maybe, to run your fridge and camp lights at the actual campsite. And Step 3. You use fold-out solar panels to keep that portable station topped up. The craziest part? That little power station can even act as an electric jerry can, feeding emergency range back into your EV if you ever get stuck. It creates a completely self-sustaining ecosystem.
So I want to leave you with this final thought today. Are you ready to unplug from the pump and drive indefinitely? Because the technology is already here, the culture is shifting fast, and the remote wilderness is suddenly more accessible and way quieter than ever before. I want to expressly thank all of you listeners for the dedicated attention you gave to this explainer today. We truly appreciate you joining us on this journey. Keep learning, keep exploring, and we will catch you on the next explainer.